Directional air roll is one of the most misunderstood mechanics in all of Rocket League. People will say things like, it's just a feel thing, or just grind rings and figure it out. That's BS advice from people who don't know how to teach. Here's the truth. Directional air roll is not just a feel thing. It's actually a predictable mechanic that you can learn just like any other mechanic once you understand the fundamentals. That's why today I'm sharing an uncut live event from my members only Discord community, where last Monday I taught everyone arrow left and arrow right in a way that nobody else has explained before. By the end of this video, you'll understand how directional arrow actually works and what you can do to learn and practice arrow without wasting hundreds of hours just figuring it out in rings. If you're new here, I'm Luke. I'm the #1 Rocket League teacher on YouTube, and me and my team of pros have now worked with almost 4,000 players at my coaching company, thegrandchampbootcamp.com. We're the #1 members only Discord community for ranking up in Rocket League. Get it? Because I'm the YouTube coach guy. I made a community to help people rank up. It should make sense. Now, this video here is pretty much a sneak peek of what will be one of my craziest videos ever. It's going to be about air roll, and I'm dropping it in just a few weeks. I wanted to present the method to players in my private community first to see if they liked it, and based on the results, people were going crazy for it. I'm also creating what might be the best free resource ever for the video. What you see on screen right now is my complete air roll mastery cheat sheet, and I'll leak it to you today for free. Now, this isn't just some basic PDF. I've worked with some of Rocket League's best visual designers to map out all 16 air roll adjustments, showing you both aerial and grounded views so you can see what air roll does in game from all these different positions. If you don't believe me, just pull it up right now. I'll have it first link below and the QR code on screen. Click to grab this sort of beta sheet for free and enjoy. I'm still working with my team of pros currently to create video walkthroughs and drills and even custom maps and packs for you guys to learn this stuff. So if you have any questions or there's any confusion, just drop it in the comments below and I'll talk with my team of pros and we can create some solutions for you in the master guide in a few weeks. But until then, first link below, enjoy. Today, I want to do actually a little bit of a sneak peek lesson. This should be a lot of fun, actually. I've been working on an air roll tutorial, this one, basically that you're about to see, for the last 2 months. I started it at the start of March. It'll probably be ready in a week or two. This is my complete air roll tutorial. I'm really excited to present it to you guys today. I'm basically going to give you guys the outline of the method that I'm teaching in that video, and hopefully take you guys from zero to air roll mastery, or at least understanding air roll better. What is directional air roll? When I say directional air roll, I'm talking about air roll left, air roll right. Air roll left and air roll right are the foundation of high-level aerial car control. It's not just something flashy that the pros do. At this point, it's been proven that this is more than just flash and to look cool. There's actual utility in directional air roll. It unlocks all the different advanced mechanics, and it's the foundation of true aerial car control. This is why it's so important to learn. Now, most YouTube tutorials out there will do one of two things. Either A, they'll overcomplicate it to try to sound smart, or B, they actually don't know what they're talking about, and so they'll pretty much yap in a circle for 15 minutes and then tell you it's just a feel thing and to go grind 100 hours in rings. That is BS advice from people who don't know how to teach. And since I have built my brand on teaching, I'm gonna actually teach this mechanic. I'm not gonna tell you guys just go in free play and figure it the fuck out. That's garbage advice. Has anybody watched an air roll tutorial like that?
Yeah, it was from this small YouTuber named Spooku.
Okay, Birdwick, I already know where your jokes are going.
Not gonna lie, you did kind of walk into that one.
Yeah, of course. Today, we're hopefully going to make that a little bit different. We're going to demystify this mechanic, and I'm actually going to break down something. So let's start with my 8 corners method of learning directional air roll. Now, a lot of people talk about air roll as if it's this sort of mysterious mechanic that you just have to swing your joystick in a circle until you figure it out. And you'll see I'm staying in the air here, but I have no idea what's going on. In reality, air roll can be broken down into 8 specific move sets. Really 16 if you're talking about both air roll left and air roll right, but stay with me. When we think about air roll, And we're breaking it down into movements. The reason I say we can break it down into 8 moves is because you can think of it as 8 different joystick inputs. You have, can you guys see my pink drawing okay?
Yep.
You can think of air roll as up. You know, think of all the ways you can push on your you can push your joystick. You can push your joystick up. You can push your joystick up right. You can push your joystick right. You can push your joystick down right. You could push your joystick down, and so on and so forth. You guys get the idea, right? Now, technically there's 360 movement, but let's just simplify it to 8 moves. So if we think about air roll as 8 different inputs, what we can do is we can watch how our car moves when we do those different 8 inputs to really understand what's going on with air roll. So let's do that together. The first input we're going to test is up. If you're flying in the middle of the field, and I'm going to practice air roll left. So if you look at my controller overlay in the top middle of the screen, my B button is air roll right. My X button is air roll, or my square button, excuse me, or X on Xbox is air roll left. That makes sense? B for right, left for air roll left. And you can see me tapping boost, that's LB. Now, if we hold air roll left and push up on the joystick from this position, watch where the car goes. I'll stop it again. Let me do this one more time. If I push up on the joystick, and maybe we'll start from here, from the vertical position, and I hold arrow left from here, watch where the car goes. Everybody see that? Where'd I go?
To the right.
To the right. Okay, stay with me. I pushed up on the joystick, I went to the right. Let's do this again. Now, instead of pushing, now we know up on the joystick sends our car to the right. Okay. Now let's push our joystick up and to the right while holding arrow left. Watch where my car goes. Where did I go? Shout it out.
Back right.
Back right. Okay, I pushed up and to the right, my car went back right. Let's do this one more time. So, to recap, when I pushed up, my car went this way. When I pushed this way, my car went this way. Let's do it one more time. Floating in the middle of the field, I'm going to push my joystick to the right and hold arrow left. Watch where my car goes. Where did it go?
Straight back.
Straight back. Okay. What we're noticing here, and I hope you guys see this, is a pattern with air roll. It's actually predictable. When I'm using arrow left and I push my joystick up, where did my car go?
Right.
When I push my joystick up and right, where did my car go?
Back right.
Back right. When I push my joystick to the right, where did my car go?
Back.
Right. Backwards.
Backwards. So, I explained this more in the video, but it's safe to say that when you use air roll left, A-R-L, you're going to get a 90-degree clockwise rotation in your input. For example, I push my joystick to the right and hold arrow left, I'm going to go back. I push my joystick down and to the left, I push my joystick to the right, I'm going to go back. I push my joystick down and to the left, what's 90 degrees from this? Shout it out.
Front left.
Up left.
Up and left, front left, exactly. So we're always making these right angles. Now, this isn't a geometry class and this won't be on the test, but the idea is air roll isn't this mysterious mechanic that when you press an input, your car goes a random direction. No, it's predictable. There are 8 different motions, and when you're holding arrow left, predictably, each input on your joystick will be rotated 90 degrees and you'll travel in that direction. If you don't believe me, I'm going to show you how air roll right works. How many people here use air roll right?
I do.
All right, about
I don't.
a little less than 50%. Okay, that's common. Most people use air roll left. On air roll right, let's watch what happens. I'm going to do the exact same pattern I did on air roll left, and I want you guys to shout out where my car's going. So I'm going to push my joystick up, and I'm going to hold air roll right. Watch what happens. Where did my car go?
Straight left. Left.
Straight left. Now, for the smart people in class, you can predict where this is going, but stay with me. I'm now going to press air roll right, and instead of pushing my joystick up, I'm going to push my joystick front left. So we just learned that when I push my joystick up with air roll right, I went left. Watch this. I'm gonna push my joystick up and to the left and hold arrow right. See where I go. Where did I go?
Back left.
Back left. And so, does anybody want to hazard a guess at how arrow right works? If arrow left rotates you 90 degrees this way, what does arrow right do?
90 degrees counterclockwise.
90 degrees counterclockwise. Exactly. Has anybody heard anybody explain this before?
No.
No.
It
Never.
actually boggles my mind that nobody has explained this.
Not
on
in
YouTube.
as much detail.
Correct. This is what I was amazed by when I found tutorials. People are just still saying it's a feel thing in 2025, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It's not a feel thing. It's very predictable. And so, just to skip ahead and prove it to you, this works all the way around the clock. So if you're using arrow right and you want to go back into the right, let's draw this out for a second. If you want to go back into the right, well, let me give you a system. We know that if I push up with arrow right, I go left. So this is the angle it moves at. 90 degrees this way. Now, anybody want to guess? If I push back into the left with arrow right, where am I going to go?
Down right.
Down right, precisely. And I will prove it to you right now. By the way, I don't use arrow right, and you can look at my controller so you can see I'm not manipulating this. I have no clue how to arrow right, but if I push down into the left and hold arrow right, you see where my car went? Into the back right. And if that 8 corners method has been helpful and you want even more help, drop me a DM on Discord. Just send me the keyword air, first link below. I'd love to help you save time improving and help you rank up even faster. I'll have my Discord first link below, keyword air, so I know you came from this video, and we could chat about helping you rank up too. So this is actually how directional arrow works. And this is just one discovery I made in the last month or two of kind of investigating this mechanic in detail. I even had a long conversation with ChatGPT where I was trying to understand the tornado spin, and at the end, it basically called me stupid and showed me this graph. So TLDR, this method will work even for dummies for learning arrow. That is the 8 corners method. Now, the 8 corners method shows you that whatever direction you input, you will reflect 90 degrees clockwise if you're using arrow right, or 90 degrees counterclockwise, or excuse me, if you're using arrow left. This is where it gets so confusing. And if you're using arrow right, that input on your joystick will be mapped 90 degrees counterclockwise. So this idea all depends on what? The starting position of our car. Now what you'll notice is if I'm flying in this position, which is how I was when I was showing you guys those drills earlier, and holding arrow left, if I hold arrow left here and I push up, I turn to the right. We discovered that from the start. Now, if I'm starting here and I flip my car over, I'm now upside down. If I do the same input, instead of going to the right, where do you guys think I will go?
To the left.
Precisely. I do the exact same input, up and arrow left, I fly to the left. And this is why arrow is so confusing to people. The same input sends your car a different direction based on the reference point, or in other words, the starting position of your car. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Here's where arrow gets interesting. To understand how your car moves from each of these positions, you need to understand the 8 corners method, and you also need to understand something I call reference points. Now I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek at what's about to happen with this video. I've been working with the entire GCB team to create a completely free arrow cheat sheet for you guys. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to map out every single joystick input and exactly what happens with your car. And so I'm working with some of the best visual designers in Rocket League to map these out. And so you can see if I hold arrow left and press my joystick to the right, this is what's going to happen. Now to give you a sneak peek, if you hold arrow left and you push your joystick to the right, let me go to my folder here, arrow left, joystick to the right, this is what the animation looks like. Pause. This is arrow left, joystick right. Let's freeze this animation halfway through. Where's my car facing? Actually, let me freeze it precisely halfway. There we go. It's not precisely halfway. Let me freeze it here. Where's my car facing halfway through the spin?
To the back.
To the back, precisely. And so the idea that I'm trying to get across here is when you press arrow left and you push your joystick to the right, where does it go? 90 degrees clockwise. That's how arrow left works. Is this making sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Yep.
Important. This system works when your car is in the standard flying position. Let's call it the perfect flying position. What I'm talking about is wheels down, nose up, just like this. Perfectly vertical. The confusing thing about air roll is not only does air roll direction change when you put your car upside down, so now right is left, left is right, et cetera, upright is back right, or back left, et cetera. It also changes based on the starting orientation of your car. So that's not just if it's right side up or upside down. I'm talking about what happens when you tornado spin from grounded versus tornado spin from vertical versus tornado spin from straight up. These are all different results are happening each time. And so to understand this, you need to understand what I call the neutral position. And there are really 3 key positions to understand for this to make sense. Has anybody watched my original air roll tutorial where I kind of coined the term neutral position?
Yeah.
I'm making a change to that. So whatever you've heard in that video, forget about it. I'm expanding on the definitions that I made 4 years ago. There are really 3 positions I think you need to understand. You have the grounded position. Think of this as your standard driving. You know, literally like you see my car right now. That's grounded. Everybody make sense? What does grounded look like?
Driving.
Driving, like this. The second position you need to understand to reach aero mastery is what I would call the flying position. So think of this as your perfect flying position. Not what you would do in game per se, but we're going to call this, think perfect flying. Blah, blah, blah. And when I say perfect flying, I mean car like this. You guys see, nose straight up. That makes sense? Nose straight up. And the last one, I'll allow you to watch this funny graphic in the back. The last position that you need to understand is the neutral. So this is position or normal. This is the name that I coined in my original YouTube tutorial. And this neutral position is between the grounded and flying position. Precisely, it is 67.5 degrees forward. Once again, this won't be on the test, but it is. You can think of it as your most common flying position that you'll be doing in ranked. You're like a little bit tilted forward. Does that make sense? This is what neutral looks like. That making sense to everyone?
Mm-hmm.
So we have grounded, which looks like this. Whether you're in the air, or, on the ground, when your car is flat, like it would be driving. You have the perfect flying position, which looks like this. Nose straight up, straight to the sky. And then we have what I call the neutral position, which is that slight tilt forward, 67.5 degrees to be precise. So what have we covered so far? We've covered the 8 corners method, which is we can predictably send our car a certain direction based on 8 different inputs: up, down, left, right on our joystick, and then everything in between. And then we've also covered the definition on 3 different sort of reference points, right? Or what we would call them as maybe starting positions, put a little bit easier. And these can be anything. You might start an aerial from, this position, and you'll have to fly back up to the ball. But most times, your camera will look like this. You'll either be grounded, you'll either be perfectly flying, right? Or you will be in what I would call neutral, slightly tilted forward. That's why we've established these definitions, because they're the most common ranked scenarios. So learning each air roll adjustment from these 3 starting points is going to be the fastest way to practically master air roll for ranked. Sure, you could learn how to fly, how all the adjustments work when you're facing back left, but when you're taking off for an aerial, is your car going to look like this? Probably not. And so the name of the game at the start is to sort of build the foundation of air roll knowledge by understanding how these adjustments work from grounded, from flying, and from neutral. Here's where I'm going to blow your mind a little bit. And this is the method that I popularized 4 years ago, but I didn't have words to explain why it was correct. And so many people have been like, this is not the right way to learn air roll, Luke. And now I can actually defend it because I've heavily studied this with Torment and Shock. For those of you who don't know, who are one-on-one coaches here, who are private coaches here, Torment, a former world champion, Shock, former North American MVP, in different eras of Rocket League, respectively. And they basically confirmed this method is correct. And so this is the method I'm going to be teaching you guys today. Remember how I explained there are 8 different types of air roll. Recall that we have all these different adjustments. Up right, up left, up, right, down, left. You see all these? You see there are how many adjustments here? Count them. How many? Let me shout it out.
8.
Correct, 8. Why are there 8?
Because of the 8 directions for the method.
Because of the 8 directions. Think of it. You have north, northeast, east, southeast. Am I doing this right? South, never eat soggy waffles. Yep. West, southwest. You guys see? You guys getting this? This clicking? Northwest. You guys see why this is 8 directions?
Yeah. Yep.
Boom, boom, boom. My wonderful drive. You guys now know why I'm not a video editor. I'm the coach guy. We have these 8 directions, okay? And so each of these adjustments that you see on the left side of my screen, look over here, each of these animations corresponds to a different one. Let's just pull up some to have fun. Up and right, or down and right. This is down and right. This is down and left. This is what it looks like. This is down. This is up and left. You see, each of these animations are different, right? There are 8 unique animations if we think about them as just 8 adjustments, and then technically you have, all the infinite combinations in between. You can push your joystick here, or technically here, and that's all in between here, right? There are many options in between there, but the idea that I'm trying to get across is not all of these adjustments are unique. And they all have different, let's call them animations and properties, but they're not all equally useful. So yes, they're all unique, but some are more effective for ranked purposes. And so I'm going to skip ahead and I'm going to let you guys guess something. Of these 8 adjustments, how many do you guys think are ranked important? I want you to guess in chat. I want you guys to put a number. Guess a number 0 through 8. How many of these adjustments are critical to be able to air roll in ranked situations? 2, 2, 2, 3, 2.5. Oh no, that was previous questions. No, now I'm looking at this one. 4, 4, 4, 4, 6. 4. Seen a couple votes. 4, 5. There are exactly, in my opinion, and this is where, Zen knows everything, right? But for me, I think the critical mass where you can really, really own in ranked, like these are the 20% of adjustments that give you 80% of the results. Chaotic, you were correct. There are 3 of them. There are 3 out of the 8 that I think are critical. And I'm going to explain why those are critical.
Can I make a guess as to which 3 they are?
On air roll left, go for it.
But basically, joystick right with air roll left, joystick left with air roll left, and joystick down with air roll left.
Close. You got one of them.
Okay.
This is not necessarily intuitive, but I'm going to try to show you guys why. So there are 3 adjustments that are most important, but the foundation of air roll that you guys need to understand, there's one adjustment that reigns supreme. So like I just said, there are many adjustments you can use, but there's one that reigns supreme. Anybody want to guess what the one most important is? It's the only one that has a name.
Tornado spin.
Tornado. Correct. Tornado spin. Tornado spin is the most commonly used air roll adjustment, and I'm going to explain to you guys why using our starting positions. So hang with me. Tornado spin is on air roll left, pushing your joystick to the right, And on air roll right, pushing your joystick to the left. In other words, tornado spin is pushing your joystick opposite the direction you are air rolling. Let's do all of these illustrations with air roll left. I'm gonna be air roll lefting because this is what I'm most comfortable with. Now, we can understand how tornado spin works by observing it from the 3 starting positions. What were our 3 starting positions? Not today, shout them out.
Ground, vertically flying, and the neutral one.
And the neutral one, correct. Ground, flying, and neutral. The reason tornado spin is the most popular adjustment, and it'll probably make more sense if I show you guys from a side-on view, is because for the first half of a tornado spin, your nose lifts. Because you're pushing your joystick opposite the direction you're air rolling, your nose lifts immediately. This is the only adjustment where you get this much lifting action. You get lifting action from other adjustments, but this one sort of gives you the most, the fastest. Right here, your nose immediately starts lifting. These all give you some lift, but tornado spin gets you this nice lift right here. Now, from the grounded position, our nose comes up. Useful, yes. Groundbreaking for flying purposes, no. This is really useful for tornado spin takeoffs, which looks something like this. On air dribbles, I'll show you once more. Lag spiked a little bit. Show you one more. You get this like kind of cool popping action with your takeoff. But aside from making our takeoffs look cool, that's really the application of tornado spins on the ground. You can also use them for tornado spin flicks. And crossbar it, but we'll come back. We'll come back to this. Now, from the flying position, we actually already know what a tornado spin does. Does anybody remember what happened when I tornado spin, push my joystick to the right here and use arrow left? Anybody remember?
Sends you backwards.
Sends me backwards, correct. And now here's kind of the final, the crux of my entire video, so pay attention closely. The reason I define the neutral position as the position you're flying, 67.5 degrees of tilt, is because if you start tornado spinning from the neutral position, slight tilt forward, watch what happens. This was not the best illustration. Let me try again. What is happening? Can anybody explain what's happening with my car right now?
Staying still.
I'm staying perfectly still. In other words, my car is rotating around the y-axis. Meaning, when my car is facing left, my nose is left. When my car is facing forward, my nose is slightly tilted forward. Basically, tornado spinning from the neutral position is a built-in brake and gas pedal. Is this making sense? You see how my nose is always facing the middle of the screen? And so my car stays perfectly still when I use a tornado spin from neutral. Now, if I start my tornado spin when my car is perfectly vertical, I'm flying backwards. You guys see this? But if I start my tornado spin with that slight forward tilt, it hovers perfectly around the y-axis. By the way, if you guys can make it to this point in the video and not have questions, you are already ahead of 90% of Rocket League players. Because 90% of Rocket League players don't understand the 8 corners method. They know that tornado spins are important, but they don't know why, and they for sure don't know what the reference positions are. They think it's just a feel thing, which is bullshit. It's not just a feel thing. When pro players say, it's just a feel thing, what they really mean is, I know that there are 8 different movements on my joystick, and I know that there are so many different car positions, notably 3. But, you know, there's also when my car looks like this, and there's also when my car looks like this, and there's also when my car looks like this, and there's also when my car looks like this. And so what pros really mean when they say it's just a feel thing is I've mapped in my brain these 8 different adjustments and what they do from all these different car positions that my car might reach. And so when I want to take my car from facing left to facing back up, I know the shortcut to do it. When I'm flying forward and I want to take a harsh turn to the right, I do this. But what they're not saying is everything they're doing has predictable movements. And so it's not just a feel thing. It's just they've made so many of these conscious patterns they've mapped so many of these positions consciously, one at a time, that now they are unconscious. And in their brain, they have 256 or 512 or 1,028 of these different positions all mapped in their brain. And so when you watch them do rings, they're flicking their joystick up, left, down, right, left, down, middle, you know. But it's not just a feel thing. Now I'm gonna give you guys the practical steps on how you can sort of learn this. So the way I recommend learning air roll is in bite-sized chunks. So we talked about how there are 8 different adjustments, yeah? You have the 8 corners method. Well, some people just jump into rings and start flailing around, and you might learn it, but you would definitely learn it faster if you take it step by step. And so a very useful exercise would be to go into rings or go into a couple maps. And I'm not going to get into all the drills. We'll have detailed drills in this air roll cheat sheet once we complete it. And like I said, it'll be free. But a very useful way to learn this is let's just go into some random rings map. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to Bacchus mod. We're going to turn on game speed. Let's make it like 1/4 of the speed. And what you're going to do is, oh, this might not work in rings. Reset.
You clicked reset.
My mistake. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to fly through this entire map only using tornadoes. And so now what am I doing? Well, I'm boosting when my nose faces forward to go forward, and I'm boosting when my nose faces back to go back. And the reason I put this on slow-mo is because when you start learning air roll, you need to consciously think about these things. And so you'll notice I'm flying through all these rings. I'm turning left and I'm turning right, but it's not based on where my joystick is pointed. My joystick was pointed right that entire time. Where I'm turning is based on when I'm boosting, not what direction I'm pushing my joystick. Does that make sense? It's when I'm boosting. This boost has basically become a built-in brake and gas pedal. And when I see my nose facing forward, when I boost there, I go there. And when I see my nose facing back, I boost there and I go back. And what you can do is you can spin in these 360s, or when you reach the position you like, so I'm going to keep tornadoing. Tornado, 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 tornado. And now I'm approaching this position. I realize I need to go a little bit back and right. And now I tornado, I need to go front right. And now I tornado, I need to slow down a little bit. And then I need to go left. And then I need to go forward. And you see how I'm turning every direction using a single adjustment. So I'm not going up, left, down, right. You guys see my joystick overlay and flailing around, because that doesn't actually help you learn anything when you're starting. When you're advanced, sure, you can learn some things from going crazy because you have such a high floor. But when you're starting, you need to build in a floor for yourself. And tornado spin should be this floor because it's the most useful competitive adjustment. You guys see how I could teach myself how to turn and how to fly through these rings with tornado spin using this method?
Yeah.
Cool. Now, this is going to take time, and here's where you will have to practice, but you're not practicing what is air roll or what is tornado spin. What you're really practicing is boost control and these reference points, right? Watching your car around a fixed point and saying, when I see my hood, that means I'm going forward. When I see my hood face left, that means I'm going left. When I want to slow down, what am I doing? I'm tornado spinning until my wheels face this way, and then I'm boosting to slow down. And then when I have a good speed, I'm tornado spinning back around. And you guys see, look at the top right. Where's my joystick going? What direction?
To the right.
It's always to the right. I'm turning left, I'm turning right, I'm slowing down, I'm speeding up, all with one adjustment. Tornado spin is the sort of built-in brake and gas pedal that I was talking about earlier. So hopefully you guys are starting to see why air roll isn't just some feel thing. It's actually a predictable set of movements. Here's where it gets interesting. You're going to practice this and you're going to learn this and you're going to follow the cheat sheet and you're going to like and subscribe the video and et cetera, et cetera. And when you feel good about it, you're going to go, Luke, okay, great. I can now turn with tornado spin, but you can't be telling me that when you're air dribbling right now, you're only using tornado spin. I'm looking at your controller overlay, Luke, and you're going left, right, up, down, right, left. You're not only tornado spinning. And to that I say, you're right. The majority of my movements are tornado movements, but that doesn't mean I'm only tornadoing. In order to build on that, the tornado is sort of the level 1. But if we really want to graduate to level 2 and level 3, we have to add in 2 other adjustments. And so this is sort of the max level that I'm going to get to in this live class. And I'll explain more in the video because the video kind of requires some in-depth animations. But I'll leave you guys with this. Tornado spin is really useful for speed control, and it can get us a long way. But we can't always be waiting for a hood to face a certain direction. So we need to be able to, let's say, turn left when our hood is, immediately when our hood is facing us, and not have to wait till we do a full 360, right? Or else we'll be slow in the air. Dribbling the ball on our nose will be hard if we have to, we're sort of this dependent on our car's position. And so this is where we have to add in 2 other adjustments. If tornado spin is our built-in brake and gas pedal, forward and backward, what are we missing with tornado spin?
Left and right.
Left and right, exactly. You can get some left-right action from tornado spin, but it's sort of time dependent. You have to wait for your car to do the spin exactly where you want, and then you can start spinning. And that's slow. So ideally, you would have tornado spin as your sort of built-in, speed control, but you would have something else that could more deliberately change direction of your car. And so that's where we're gonna have to add in 2 adjustments. And this is kind of why the 8 corners method is so important. And if you came in late, then you should watch the recording. Let's go back to the 8 corners method. Recall, when I'm using arrow roll left, and maybe we'll go back to Google for this. When I'm using arrow roll left, and this is a joystick up, I'm using arrow roll left, and I'm pushing my joystick up, ARL, and I'm pushing my joystick up. Which way was my car going? Do we remember?
Should be 90 degrees clockwise, right? So it'd be right.
90 degrees clockwise, correct. If you guessed that it would go to the left, you're probably an arrow roll right user. So that's also correct if you were using arrow roll right. If you're using arrow roll right and you push up, it's 90 degrees counterclockwise, but let's stay on arrow left for sake of sanity. This is going to shift us 90 degrees clockwise. In other words, it's going to look like this, clockwise. And so if we input up and then we apply a 90 degree clockwise turn, let's do a little bit of summation here. Let's do some nice colors for you guys. Is this giving you guys Khan Academy vibes? Feeling Khan Academy right now?
Yes.
Maybe, maybe not. Yes, I used to watch that shit back in the day. Where were we going? 90 clockwise. Yes. We go up, we apply a 90 degrees clockwise turn, and where do we end up? Where's our car going? Car go right. Car go right. And the spoiler, by the way, guys, is I picked this animation so that way you guys would see it. Look what happens when we freeze halfway through. Where's our car facing?
To the right. So I thought you were asking a different question.
Yeah, joystick up faces to the right. And that's why this cheat sheet is going to be so useful. But anyways, arrow left, joystick up, 90 degree rotation, car goes right. And this is the whole point of the cheat sheet. This is why we're trying to kind of illustrate this for you guys. But arrow left means 90 degree rotation to the right. Okay, so we know up turns us right. And so what you might be thinking is, what you might be saying to yourself is, okay, Luke, I get it. Arrow left, I push my joystick up, I go right. Isn't that how I turn right? And my answer is, yes, that would turn you right, but it's actually not optimal. And this is where I need to explain by example. Yes, it is true. And I'm going to pull up a specific map to illustrate this best for you guys. Yes, it is true that pushing up on the joystick and holding arrow left will turn you right. If, big if, you're starting from the normal flying position. And in other words, let me say this precisely. From the perfect flying position we discussed earlier. Remember the perfect flying position? What did it look like? Did it have a tilt forward?
No, that's the normal. The perfect one is vertical.
Exactly. Neutral or normal is flying forward. That's what we see in ranked. This is the perfect flying position where our nose is facing forward. And so yes, if we push up into the joystick and hold arrow right, we'll go to the right. But the issue is, in ranked, we're normally tilted a little bit forward when we're flying. You guys know, like when we're air dribbling the ball in our car, we're flying at the net. You know what I mean? Like we don't fly straight to the ceiling most of the time. If you do, your air dribble is usually a little wonky. Not useless, but less useful. 80 to 90% of your air dribbles are you're gonna be flying forward. You're trying to score the ball, right? And so, if we just use this normal adjustment, let's say we only use up to turn to the right and down to turn to the left. That makes sense to everybody? Up to turn to the right, down to turn to the left. What happens is, if we're in this neutral position, our speed is gonna start to run out of control, because we're starting from already facing forward. So look what's happening with the boost. We're flying forward. Our car's tilted so far forward, we can't even turn. And so practically, yes, you could fly through this slalom using only up and only down. It would be very challenging because you see, I just lose control of my speed, right? And why are we losing control of the speed? What's my point here? Well, what adjustment controls our speed? Hint, it was the one we were just talking about earlier.
The tornado.
Exactly, the tornado. And so, in order to get some of that slowdown, right? In order to get some of that speed control effect, guess what? We have to incorporate elements of a tornado spin. And so your intuition may be arrow left. In order to turn right, you normally push up because we get this reflection. And to turn left, you push down because we get this reflection. Is this making sense to everybody? This 90 degrees clockwise? You guys see this 90 degrees clockwise rotation? Yep. And you're right, but this doesn't take into account the neutral position we were talking about earlier. Normally, we're flying from neutral, right? And so this would be true if we were on arrow lefting, but we're flying from perfect. If we're flying from neutral, let me color code this in blue, which is that slight tilt forward, and we're using arrow left. Now, and let's do a different color. Can you guys see black all right? No, it's kind of not very easy. I'm gonna do blue. And now, we're doing arrow left from neutral. Let's say we wanna get a slight spin to the right. Ultimately, we wanna get a slight turn to the right, but we wanna slow down a bit. So let's say we wanna slow down a bit and get a turn to the right. So our end position is, we want our end position to be here. And let's say we want to turn to the left. So this is, turning right. And then let's say for turning left, we want the ending position to be left, yes, but slightly back. So we slow down. You guys see what I mean? Because if we're flying from neutral, we need to slow down, or else we're going to run out. We're letting our speed run loose. These are the output graphs right here. These output lines that I'm showing you. Using arrow left, what input lines give these output lines?
Like diagonal right, like top right.
Exactly. Why is that? Because if we reflect this 90 degrees clockwise, we're going back into the right. So what input would give you back left?
Bottom right.
Oh, right, yeah.
Bottom right. And so this is my roundabout way of explaining. I know this is a bunch of chicken scratch on screen right now, but the TLDR here is, Luke, I've completely lost the plot. What the fuck is going on? Why is there all this drawing on my screen? What I'm trying to explain to you guys is, to turn right, we push our joystick up and to the right. To turn left, from neutral, we push our joystick down and to the right. And so up and to the right, turns right. Down and to the right, turn left. This gives us a little bit of leftward motion, a little bit of left, with that slowdown. This gives us a little bit of movement to the right with that slowdown. That slowdown is important. Why? Why do we need to slow down?
To control our speed.
To control our speed, because we're flying from neutral. Because if you're flying like a normal Rocket League player, you have that slight forward tilt. So if you don't incorporate any tornado spin, what happens? Our speed runs out of control. So rather than flying using up to turn right and down to turn left, watch how I fly through these slaloms using up and to the right to turn right and down and to the right to turn left. In other words, pay attention to my joystick here. You can all see my joystick, yeah?
Yep.
Pay attention to my joystick. Watch it how when I want to turn right, it goes this way. And when I want to, and let's just do that. Pay attention at the moments when it goes to the right. Anytime I'm turning right, you should notice this. I'm going to fly left a little bit, and I'm going to try to turn right again using air roll. And it's a little bit out of control, but the idea is, let me go back in. Yep. When we want to turn right, I push up and to the right. And watch how I'm not flying out of control on my speed. When I turn to the left, I push down and to the right. I want to turn to the right, I push up and to the right. I want to turn to the left, I push down and to the right. I want to turn to the right, I push up and to the right. And obviously I'm using a little bit of air roll too. But I'm holding, when I want to turn left, I'm holding arrow left and pushing down and to the right. Turns me left. When I want to go turn up and to the right, I hold arrow left and I push up right. So what we've effectively done is we've taken this very complicated mechanic that has 8 different directions, and we've essentially made it really easy for ourselves. We've essentially said, hey, look, the main things I want to do in ranked are what? Speed up, slow down, turn right, turn left. And so if tornado spin can speed us up and slow us down, and upright and left right can turn us, or upright and down right can turn us left with arrow left. What we've done is we've basically taken these 8 inputs and we basically said, hey, look, all this shit, don't worry about it. The only 3 adjustments I need are upright, straight right, and down right. And each of these map to a different movement. Up and right turns us back and right because of the 90-degree clockwise rotation. Straight to the right turns us where? Straight down because of the 90 degrees rotation. And down right turns us where?
Back left.
Back left. I'm basically going to leave you guys with this. You can turn any way you want with 3 adjustments: upright, right, down right with arrow left. And if you're on arrow right, you're just going to flip this. With arrow right, you can turn any way you want using just 3 adjustments: up left, left, down left. Why? Because up left goes to where? If we're rotating arrow right, we're rotating 90 degrees counterclockwise. So where would this go?
Down left.
Counterclockwise, down left. Correct. This is arrow right. Talking about 90 degrees counterclockwise from left is
Back.
back. Correct. Down. 90 degrees counterclockwise from back left is
Back right.
back right. And so with arrow right, this is your joystick, and this is what happens with your car. Do these colors help? You guys see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's what we've done. We've talked about the 8 corners method to air roll. We've talked about the 3 different starting positions. You guys needed to understand the grounded state, the neutral state, and the perfect flying state. And then we've explained how tornado spins work. And we concluded with, okay, so what do those tornado spins then do? How do we incorporate those tornado spins to turn right and left into midair? And that's where we added the upright and the down right movements on arrow left, or up left, down left if you're on arrow right. And so what we've effectively done is we've taken this very complicated mechanic that everybody says is just a feel thing, and we've turned it into something where really we just need to master 3 movement patterns, and we can keep our car in the air. And so you can start by just learning tornado spin to slowly move. Now, the con about tornado spin is you have to wait till your nose faces a certain way to be able to boost and, stay in the air, right? So it's very slow. I'm like an inchworm making my way through the rings. But once you can turn left and right, okay, now I can do this entire map only pushing my joystick to the right. Watch how my joystick only moves to the right. When I want to turn right, I just push it up a little bit. When I want to turn left, I just push it down and to the right a little bit. When I want to turn right, I just push it up and to the right a little bit. When I want to turn left, I just push it down a little bit. And we can effectively do this entire rings map with only pushing our joystick on the right half of the controller when I'm arrow lefting. Why is that? Because tornado spins and because of the starting position with upright and down left, or down right. And that's turning us left and right. So this has been a mouthful, but at this point, you guys now know more than 90% of players about how air roll actually works. And if you can start practicing the tornado spin, and then what I would do is I'd take it step by step. First, I would just learn the adjustment of upright only, and I'd be waiting till, you know, your nose faces you to do that adjustment. We're spinning, 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 spinning. Okay, I want to turn right. I'm going to wait till my hood faces me, push up into the right on my joystick. Okay, that turned me right. Oh, here I need to do a sharp turn. Okay, I'm going to wait till my hood faces me. Up and to the right on my joystick, really hard to turn to the right. And now I'm turning to the right. And oh shoot, I'm going really far to the right. Now I have to wait till my hood faces away. And now I turn up and to the right to go right. It actually turns me left because my car was upside down. And so you can use these reference points to then build up an understanding of air roll control until ultimately you can fly through on, you know, really fast speeds. Okay, this is not going to work. Let's do maybe like 1.1, like a little faster than game speed. And your car will look like this eventually. And you'll see I am using some other adjustments in niche situations. Sometimes I'll push my joystick left. Sometimes I'll push my joystick back, up. But the majority of my movement is coming from where? The left half of my controller, or the left half of my joystick, or the right half of my joystick?
Right half.
Right half.
Right half. Why is it the right half? What type of spin is on the right half? You're using your
Left or arrow left.
Yep. Tornado spin. Tornado spin is the type of spin. So that is my 8 corners method and all my other freaking air roll secrets that I have for you guys in 60 minutes. We're gonna open this up to questions for 15 minutes. Was that helpful? Was that interesting?
Yes.
At the very least, interesting.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What would the other spin be called on the left side?
What's up?
What's the left side spin called?
The left side spin call. This is what's called a reverse tornado.
Yeah,
or
that's what it is.
I've referred to it as a. I've also heard it referred to as a cucks twist. A cucks twist.
Okay.
That's named after
When
Cucks
in like in your air roll journey did you start using the reverse spin?
I would say at about the 2 or 3 month mark. 2 or 3 month mark.
Okay.
But my memory may be serving me wrong and may actually be the 1 or 2 year mark. I learned air roll 3 or 4 years ago when I was in college. I'm now 23. When I was in college, I was 19 and 20. I really, really wanted to learn air roll, and so that's what I was doing. And I learned I discovered that tornado spin was kind of the crux of air roll very quickly. And so that's what I did mostly. And then I just built on that. I'm like, okay, if tornado spin makes a lot of intuitive sense to me, what happens if I push up and to the right? Oh, I see it kind of turns me to the right if I do it at the right time. Okay, what does down and to the right do? And then I kind of discovered those things. Now, Cook's twists get into kind of another, or reverse tornado spins, get into like a whole nother idea of air roll, which is like, all these positions are useful, but the reason I taught those 3 methods is because why? They're the most relevant when your car is flying like this. The most common thing you're going to want to do with an air dribble is slow it down and turn it right, slow it down and turn it left, or just control your speed, which is all those adjustments I just showed you on the right side of my controller. Now, there are situations where like you're going for a ceiling shot, and what gets my nose facing up the fastest? Cucks twist, reverse tornado. Reverse tornado. That's what gets my nose up the quickest. Beyond just like tilting forward. But like that the whole point is like those 3 adjustments are the 10% that give you 90% of the results, or the 20% that give you 80% of the results. The Cook's twist and all that other stuff, it will be useful, but it's like that's after, you know, a couple weeks or months of learning, you start incorporating that stuff.
And this like applied directly to like WASD almost.
Yep, this applies directly to WASD. In fact, it's more perfect on WASD. You have more perfect movement. And by perfect, I mean like predictable, right? Less human error. less range of movement, but more consistent movement, let's say. So this absolutely applies to KBM players.
So with the air roll, if you've kind of like already learned a lot about air roll, would you say it's worth it to go back into free play and learn this way?
It's definitely important. Like when you say learn air roll, I presume you mean you've spent a lot of hours flying in rings, just kind of like figuring it out, right?
Yeah, kind of like learning how to turn in certain ways and stuff.
Right. And so what you've done is, I would say you've done I mean, that has its place, right? You've kind of done a bunch of trial and error. And so you probably know some like wacky tech. Like, and here's where just hours comes in. But like, because I have high hours, I know that if my car is facing like this, the adjustment that gets me back towards facing to the ball is air rolling and pushing up and to the right. If I do air roll up and then push to the right, it kind of swoops me around the ball. And you probably know a lot of awkward tech, like if I'm flying forward and I want to turn down and to the left, what do? I start chaining adjustments. I go down right, upright, 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 down right, and now I'm facing the other way.
Yeah, I don't know like exactly where I need to have my controller to fly everywhere. I just kind of do it.
You just kind of do it. So it's all subconscious is what you're saying, which means like...
Yeah.
So what you've done is you've created like a nice amount of what I would call like niche skill. But the issue with doing that method, and this is what I was talking about in detail with Shock, is like when you just follow this basic advice on the internet of just grind rings, bro, and figure it the fuck out. Well, you actually have no baseline. You have no foundation to learn air roll, right? So in other words, you have no floor. So you could just get to a position in ranked where you're like right behind the ball and go, fuck, I have no clue how to carry this. And you just drop it, right? And the reason you've done that is because you haven't developed any consistency in your movement. So if I were you, I would say that's fine. You have like a lot of niche skill, but I would still focus on tornado and understanding the 2 variations on that tornado spin. That will really complete your understanding of air roll. That makes sense?
Yeah. I did want to say as well, I've been in this server for probably about a week, and my goal was to get back to Champ 2, and I already did that. So
let's go. That's awesome. I love it.
How would you say I can improve like air dribbles with the tornado spin? Like, is it just the right and left movement?
So that's a good question. The first thing is avoid using the ball. The ball comes in after a lot of practice, because the issue with using the ball is you have to have such a level of mastery when you're using the ball that you can turn left and right almost on a dime, right? I'm almost not waiting for my car to spin. I am waiting for my car to spin. Don't get me wrong. I'm not Zen level control where I have so many positions in my brain mapped that I can turn right or left whenever I want. I am still waiting for my car to spin certain ways that I recognize or that I'm comfortable with, let's say. But it's much less than what I explained to you earlier. I still understand many more positions than just neutral and just tornado upright, right, down right. I mean, you can watch that. I mean, if you watch my joystick, you'll see it's mostly tornado, mostly upright, mostly down right. And, randomly I'll flick my joystick down and to the left. I'll flick it up and to the left. It's a mix of those things. So the TLDR is practice the 3 core adjustments and get them really good first. And then once you can do those 3 core adjustments, right, that I talked about, the 3 tornado variations, then I would incorporate the ball. But even so, I would do it on like 50%, right? I'd do it on 50% speed and work your way up. The more like stepping stones and ladders you can make for yourself, the more fluid and consistent the learning process is going to be. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Question. I'm actually just starting to learn how to like air roll and all that stuff. I only have like 17 days into the game or whatever.
Yeah.
Is there any like good settings I should start out with, like with sensitivity and dodge zone? Or?
Oh, that's a great question. That will come in my YouTube video. For now, you can freeze here. 1 directional air roll will suffice. I recommend air roll left because most tutorials you'll see on the internet are air roll left. But if for some reason you want to do air roll right, you can do air roll right. But I'd probably recommend air roll left. And
I have both binded right now, and I do incorporate both of them.
Yeah.
Like when I do a half flip, I'll use actually my air roll left, and then when I do speed flip, I use my air roll right. So
Yeah.
I do have a basic understanding of both of them.
Yeah, so that's good. So you can definitely use both in that way. I would pick one to be your sort of dominant flying one, and I would kind of rock with that. That's the approach I'd recommend. But steering and dodge and dead zone, that stuff isn't super important for air roll. Air roll sort of operates on its own. Like every air roll input, like the air roll turn rate is constant unless you're using the Zen method, which I will get into in the YouTube video, but not this video. You spin at the same speed as a pro spins, so the dead zone isn't game breaking in that way. Like air roll has one speed. You're either air rolling or you're not, right?
Okay, all right.
In most when you're not using analog inputs.
Yeah. One more real quick. So I play on Xbox. I don't have access to any like the ring maps or any of those kind of workshops. Is there anything I can go into that would help me with air rolling?
Yeah, for sure. So you can still do all the drills I sort of outlined earlier when it comes to. So you start with tornado spin as the foundation, right? And you learn how to fly in certain directions with tornado. And you can do that by just floating around the midfield.
Okay, so kind of just like going to free play and
yep, and
practice that.
From here, we're going to say, pick a direction. What direction do you want me to go? Pick one.
Left.
Left. So I'm going to wait till my nose faces left and boost. Wait till my nose faces left, hold boost. Wait till my nose faces left. You can practice tornadoing to each part of the field. Pick another position.
Down right.
Down right. So I'm going to wait till my nose faces right, boost. 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 You see?
Okay.
And now we're flying to the right corner. I'm not as good as this as like Shock is, for example. Shock is much better at this drill. But you have drills like that. And then you can still use parts of the map as obstacles. So let's say I want to turn left. Fly up to the right corner. I'm going to press down and to the right. Fly up to the right corner. I'm going to press down and to the right. Fly to this corner. And when I'm ready, press down and to the right. And you can still practice maneuvering around in a circle like that. Now, rings are going to be your best friend, but if you don't have rings, you know, these are workarounds. You can also use the pillars map. That is a common workaround because that gives you kind of more tight obstacles. So if you're unfamiliar with the pillars map,
it's like practice going like a figure 8 around the pillars and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. That gives you really just that practice. It's great for practicing that left-right movement. I hope this was helpful today. If it was, tell your mom, tell your friends, I don't know. And I'll be back next Monday for normally scheduled programming. You can keep an eye out for this aerial tutorial on the YouTube, and I'll drop the cheat sheet and all the other resources when they come out. Recording will be up in probably a couple days because I'm gonna have to have my editor cut this a little bit for you guys, but I'll have this recording in the classroom in a little bit. If you want even more help, drop me a DM on Discord. Send me the word air so I know you came from this video, and I'd love to help you improve and rank up even faster. Oh, and if you also made it to this point in the video, thanks for watching. Leave a comment that says, can we do like some sort of inside joke here for the people that actually made it over an hour into the video? We can comment something like, Luke, you have very nice eyebrows. Actually, let's do everybody, if you made it to this point of the video, pick a different piece of hair on the body. Be careful about what you pick, though. But pick a different piece of hair on my body and say, Luke, I really like your eyebrows. Luke, I really like your mustache. Luke, I really like your toupee. Luke, I really like your beard. Luke, I really like your forearm hair. And we'll probably try to keep it. Luke, I really like your chest hair. This is a good idea. It's probably not a good idea, but I think it could be kind of funny. Yeah, let's do it. Fuck it. Okay, yeah, comment that if you made it to this point of the video, and it will get some funny little inside joke going in the comments. Big air roll video coming out in a few weeks. Enjoy. Yeah. Thanks for watching.